Today we're going to discuss and describe negative feedback and positive feedback and how they're involved in homeostatic regulation. The way negative feedback works, it corrects deviations from normal. The most common form is a feedback loop. An example would be variations from the norm that are increases are brought back down, or variations from the norm that are decreases are brought back up. A common example would be body temperature. If a body temperature drops too low or becomes cold, the brain sends a signal to the skeletal muscles to start shivering. The blood vessels in the skin vasoconstrict, and that brings the temperature back up. If the body temperature is too high, the brain sends a message to the skin to vasodilate and sweat, and that brings the body temperature back down. Positive feedback, on the other hand, reinforces or exaggerates deviations from normal. Variations from the norm that are increases are further increased. This is a very rare occurrence, and it has to have an off switch. In positive feedback, the example, if the blood vessels are damaged, chemicals are released to attract platelets. Platelets release more chemicals. This leads to clot formation. Each step enhances the next step until the repair of the damaged vessel stops the first chemical secretion. This is an image of negative feedback and the example of hot and cold. Let's look at this stimulus and example of hot. Here, the stimulus is the body temperature rises above 37.2 degrees Celsius. It's too hot. There are receptors. The body temperature sensors recognize it's hot and sends it to the control center, which is the hypothalamus or the thermoregulatory center of the brain. That then is where the information is processed. That information is sent to the effectors, the blood vessels and the sweat glands in the skin. The final response is an increased blood flow to the skin, increased sweating, and the stimulus is removed and homeostasis is restored. This is the example of positive feedback. There's damage to the blood vessel and the chemicals are released. Blood flow is enhanced and platelets are brought to the area. The clotting continues, which brings more platelets to the area, which accelerates the clotting process and releases more chemicals. This continues until the clot is formed, the bleeding is stopped, and the chemical is shut down. Look at the 3 checkpoint questions and answer them.